We need to think about setting up showings. Professional courtesies always come into play. We are going to call to get permission to show another agent's listing. Multiple listing has instructions on who we should call. Usually it's the listing office or the listing agent's number. The multiple listing is going to tell us what kind of lockbox is going to be on the property. But you know, I have found a lot of times in the multiple listing it will tell you that it's one type of lockbox, and when you get to the house it's a different type of lockbox. So save yourself some time and go ahead and ask, what type of lockbox does it have? Where is the lockbox located? And then you will save yourself some time, because all of that information should be on the listing company's desk with the showing instructions. And when I'm calling, I'm saying, I'm Harriet Isaacson, and I'm a buyer's agent, and I wanted to show your property at 123 Main Street. I'm identifying myself, and I also should identify myself in connection with my company, Harriet Isaacson with Realty South. But then I'm also telling if I am a buyer's broker or if I am actually a transaction broker. Sometimes you're going to start out as a transaction broker, but you will find that then as a buyer's agent, you will actually be letting them know later on that you are a buyer's agent when you get that buyer agency agreement signed. And any special instructions from the OT desk that we can find out about. Are there pets? Is there a security alarm? There is nothing more annoying than for you to go in the front door and the alarm sounds. And this has been such a big distraction that the buyers don't want to even look at the house. And it might be a very nice house, but the alarm's going off and it is so loud and shrill that it's hurting their ears, and they just want to leave the house at that time right there. And so let's ask, does it have a security alarm? Where is it? What is the combination, or what is the code? So that you will be able to take care of all those little details. Set up a showing schedule that will give plenty of time for viewing each property. Think about this, particularly with the younger or the older. Say a young mom that has twins, and she is working her schedule of feeding those babies and getting them in the bed around maybe the appointment that you were going to have. If you're an hour late, she has already been out in the neighborhood strolling the babies for an hour, and she comes back home. You haven't shown up, but she has to feed those babies, and she has to put them down for their nap. So your schedule has really caused her a lot of problems. And if you were to show up right now when she's feeding the babies, you will find that this is very disruptive, and it's not going to have the house to show well when you're showing it to your buyers. So make sure that if your schedule is not working, that you call the agent or call the office and tell them that the schedule is not working, and is it okay for you to go an hour later? Is it okay for you to go an hour and a half later? Because we cannot always predict how long it's going to take people to see houses. Take care of the property that you show. Leave everything exactly like you found it. Blinds, lights, doors locked. Think about it. If you go in and the house is rather dark because there's no lights on, and the blinds are closed or the draperies are closed, you're going to open those up and make it light and bright and turn those lights on. But before you leave that house, we've got to reverse everything and make sure that we leave it exactly like we found it. Be sure that we have locked all the doors. Now, what happens sometimes, you might have 2 or 3 buyers that are going through the house, and you've already been out and shown the backyard and the patio to 2 of the buyers, and you come back in and you lock the back door. Well, you know you locked it, but then behind you goes that 3rd buyer, and unlocks the door and leaves it unlocked. And it's your job to make sure that the locks are locked and before you leave that house. So suppose I just make sure that the buyers have seen the house, and I take them to the front door. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back through the house, make sure all the doors are locked, and turn off all the lights. So if you'll just wait out for me at the car, I would be right out. And I'm going to lock the front door so that they don't come back in and turn another light on or unlock another door. And then I quickly go back through the house to be sure that everything is left in exactly the same way that it was. Be careful of pets. If they have told you that there's a certain pet in the house, be sure that you make a notation of that and be very careful about not letting the pet out, because you'll be out in the neighborhood chasing the pet, and that's not very professional for us to be out chasing the pets. Don't use sellers' phones or don't use sellers' bathrooms without permission. But that's sometimes that is what we find that people are doing. Leave a business card at the property. And if your business card is the only one that's going to be on the table, that's great. But if you see 6 or 7 or 8 business cards on a table, be sure that you just go ahead and put your business card somewhere else so that they will be able to see yours individually. So leave a business card in a conspicuous place. Make sure that yours is put on the table or the counter or someplace that they will be able to see. Give listing agent feedback from your showing. This is so helpful for them to be able to go back to the sellers and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the people that saw your house today said that they really did like your house, and these are some good features that they said was in your house. The house was just not quite large enough. Or maybe the house had too many steps, and these people couldn't negotiate that many steps. So you need to give your fellow agents feedback so that they will be able to direct that feedback then to the sellers and give the sellers some idea of the things that are appreciated in their house, but some of the things that could be a negative. And always do it in a tactful way that even if you're saying something negative, it would not be negative against the house necessarily, but it would be negative as far as your buyers are concerned. So let's be very tactful about that. Let's talk to the buyers about the process of elimination. Now, before we go out each day, let's be sure that we have given the buyers a copy of the MLS printout, a customer report, because we want to be sure that they have that a report that does not have any agent information on it. We want one set for them, and then we want a set for ourselves, but ours will be the full agent's MLS report, so that we can make sure that we have all of the contact numbers on there too. Keep track of the good points. Keep track of the bad points as far as your buyers are saying. Now, there have been surveys that have told us, they have been made, they have told us that buyers' words are very limited on what they will say to you. We can learn a lot more about watching their actions, watching their reactions, I should say, to the house. And we can interpret that a lot better than we can think about what they have said, because sometimes they really just do not voice to you what they really are meaning. But if you will keep some points, the good points and the bad points on each house, that will help you in helping them to eliminate some of the properties at the end of the day. They're going to ask a lot of times at the end of the day, now what color was the carpet in that house that we saw, the pink French provincial house that we saw? Well, you probably wouldn't have any idea what color carpet was in there, unless it had been some outlandish color. But if you have made some notes on it, then you will find that you will be able to feed back that information to them. So paraphrase any information that they have given to you, or if they have made a statement about something, jot it down and paraphrase it and feed it back to them. Very good way to help them. Their body language just tells you so much more than they ever would be able to voice to you. Let's keep focused on the necessary features that they find in a house also. And remember some of those things that they said that they really would like to have, but they weren't necessarily the ones that they had to have. And if we can find a combination of most everything on their necessary list and then a few on their want list, we'll be finding that winning combination. At the beginning of each appointment day, ask, if we find the home that you like today, would you feel prepared to make an offer on it? Now, this is going to give you a lot of information. For one thing, in your little, interview with them, maybe it didn't come out that their money for the down payment is going to come from grandmother or daddy or mother or aunt or uncle. But this might be the time that it comes out. Hopefully they have told us ahead of time. But if not, when we ask them this question, they'll say, well, I might find the house that I want today, but I'd have to get Aunt Susie to come down and take a look. And I don't know what her schedule would be because she is working, and we'd have to make sure that she gets down here. That's going to give you a lot of good information. So asking them, if we find the house today that you like, would you be prepared to make an offer on it? And at the end of each appointment day, ask, if you had to move into or make an offer on one of the homes that you saw today, which one would it be and why? And then we're going to ask them, rank the houses that you saw today and tell me in your order of preference for the house. Well, what you're going to find out is that they're usually going to, when they first begin the process, say, well, I like the kitchen from the first house, and I like the yard of the second house, and I really did like that basement recreation room in the third house. Well, valuable information, isn't it? We can't put all three houses together, but we have gained a lot of insight to know things that are important to them that they probably didn't tell us about at all. And so if you will think about that, and this is a valuable tool in helping them to decide on properties by starting to eliminate properties too.